I agree. Kind of Dracula was like around, like when they say we didn't have they're acting like they're I reckon it'll be like really? I thought he was a singer. Produce a musical like Dracula. Producing like next hour. I need this one. Oh, you just check that? Should you just check that hand? Or if it just stood on top of the tower, then it'd be easier. Okay. This is an ancient memorial. Is it? Yeah. That's where Dracula was buried. So basically, if 2 times 2 is the pi of maths integer, it's magic. The guy's a really good actor. So do you think he goes to like acting school or is he actual actor like now? Probably went to acting school and then he's now an actor. No, but, okay, so what?
You're here. I thought so. I thought I could hear you. Smell you. I suppose I might sense you. We still in this modern world of ours have a memory of those old skills that made us hunters. The greatest predators on earth, eh? Feared and loathed by all other creatures and beasts who we hunt and kill, or domesticate and enslave to our will. For centuries, humankind has dominated this earth of ours. Every day, new inventions propel us forward into a new age of greater power and control of the elements that surround us. We embrace this new world. We forget about the old and we move forward. We feel in our blood that we are leaving the past behind. But every so often, we realize in the darkest recesses of our minds that we still remember. We call what lurks in our minds superstition or myth. We might not believe in it, but it stays with us. Every so often, we see something that reminds us that not everything can be measured, recorded, or categorized. There are some things that exist in the deepest oceans, or in the bowels of the earth, or hidden away in far-off places that defy our efforts at understanding. They remain beyond our control. Instead, they provoke in us those older sensations we thought we had buried and moved on from. And we find we are still the same creatures we always were. We say we have a sixth sense about danger. We sense it is there just before it happens. We have time to consider what to do next. Do we fight it or flee? But sometimes it creeps up on us and catches us unawares. Instead of lashing out or running as if our lives depend on it, we are frozen to the spot in terror. We are paralyzed by our fear taking us over. Suddenly, our bodies are not our own. Our hearts beat faster. Our limbs become heavy. Our breathing shallow. We sweat. We start to shiver and tremble. We become aware of growing colder. It feels as if death is slowly engulfing us, creeping over our body. Still, it refuses to answer our brain, begging it to do something. Instead, like a lump of clay, it is unable to do anything. We must face our deepest fear. Powerless as once we were when we first came down from the hills. When we were the hunted, the prey, not the hunter. I speak of this from some experience. My name is Jonathan Harker. Perhaps you have heard the name. Perhaps not. Some years ago, I was asked by my employers to carry documents of sale for a number of properties in England across Europe to a castle situated in Transylvania. A country I had never before heard of, and to bring them to the attention of the nobleman who lived there. His name you will, I am sure, recognize. It was Count Dracula. And from the moment I embarked on this journey, my life would change, and I would experience such horrors that no sane man could possibly tolerate without being changed forever. I still look back on that time with disbelief. For like you, I was entirely innocent of what existed beyond my own narrow view of the world. The experience of these horrors came close to destroying me completely. Even now I find it painful to recollect.
Jonathan, you were gone so long I feared for you. You said you were just going for a walk to clear your head. Now, I see you engaged in some sort of public meeting. Who are all these people? What is their business here at the Abbey in the dark?
I haven't asked them, dear Mina. Perhaps they are drawn here by the same strange power that has impelled me to walk these ruins these last few nights. Perhaps something speaks to them in the same way it speaks to me.
Stuff and nonsense, my dear. All that is behind us now. What happened to us then is like an old story in a newspaper. In time it is forgotten and people move on. And if we choose to dwell in the past, then the fault lies with us. Besides, the creature that plagued you is defeated and no more. It is a thing of fairy tales to scare children with now. Not a threat. We saw it destroyed.
Did you see the lake there?
I do, my dear, but I believe it is a fish pond built by the monks, so they might have a fresh supply of fish close to the Abbey.
It was by just such a lake that a group of artists, poets and writers gathered many years ago. And one dark and stormy night wrote tales of terror for their own amusement.
Yes, my dear, but that was a long time ago, in 1816. And the Lake Geneva, was much larger than this pond. The poets Byron and Shelley wrote nothing of note, and it was a woman, Mary Shelley, who wrote the most famous of those tales, Frankenstein. As far as I'm aware, my dear, no one outside the realms of fiction has ever successfully animated a corpse. They were a band of dissolutes trapped by the rain, probably bored and drunk, who let their imaginations run away with them.
But what of the doctor? How did he know? How could he know?
Dr. John Polidori wrote a tale called The Vampire. But by all accounts, his description of the creature was much closer to his employer, Lord Byron, who he hated, than any supernatural creature.
But how did he know? About vampires, I mean. How could he have known?
Perhaps he heard the story from someone else. Or perhaps it just came out of his drunken imagination, or his jealousy. Why does it matter?
Because it could have been a warning. And if I had known of it, I would never have travelled to Transylvania and risked my life and the lives of my friends by meeting with that fiend.
Dear husband, you must be brave. You endured a terrible ordeal, but you could not have guessed in advance. Dr. Polidori's story was just that, a story. Much good it did him. He died a few years later, depressed by his failure, mired in gambling debts, by his own hand, they say, drinking prussic acid. His story caught the imagination of some, but it was never based on true events.
But how did he know about vampires?
Jonathan, you are upsetting our friends. Dr. Polidori's story was fiction. That he hit upon the idea of an immortal creature that survives by drinking blood is pure chance. You must endeavour to forget the past or you will be trapped by it. Dracula is gone. We saw him turn to dust.
I know, my dear wife, but there is something in my blood that tells me we are not safe. I cannot put it into words, but there is some horror still out there. And it is close.
Jonathan, you must calm yourself. You are upsetting these good people. Come, there is nothing to fear. I will take you home. Come. Oh, good people, there is nothing further to see here. I suggest you make your way on the path along the pond towards the Abbey. Huh? Good night, and God bless. Come. Jonathan, this way. It is nothing, Jonathan. Come.
Yes, really close to the crowd. It's not going to night light on, which is basic.
Can we get to the front at least? Where's the lodge?